The Surface Go 2 is here. I've been using it for 3 weeks, and this is what you need to know. The Surface Go 2 is the cheapest and smallest way to get into the Surface family. If you're looking to join the Surface family and you really want to see what Microsoft has to offer, this is the smallest, but also the most inexpensive way to get into the family, starting at $399. But we will get back to that price point here in a little bit, because that is not the model that you are going to want to buy, especially if you're just warming up to what Microsoft has to offer. So we're going to spin it to some B-roll here while we talk about the specs. Not a whole lot has changed over the first generation. The second generation could be described as just an incremental upgrade to the first generation, and you get a slightly larger display at 10.5 inches, which is about a half inch larger than the previous generation, 1920 by 1280 resolution or 220 ppi, and we get a contrast ratio of 15,000 to 1, Corning Gorilla Glass 3. The processor options start at a Pentium Gold processor 4425Y, and you can also opt for an 8th gen Intel Core M3. There are also Wi-Fi and LTE advanced options available on day one. Previously, we had to wait about 5-ish months or so to get that LTE option, but now that is available on day one. 4 or 8 gigs of RAM. You can get 64 gigs of storage and on up, but I do not recommend that one at all, which we'll talk about here again in a little bit because it is eMMC. The version I have is 128 gig, just your more vanilla standard solid state drive. There's also USB-C, headphone jack, and a Surface Connect port. Now, the things you need to know about the Go 2 before you get in, and while I'm not a huge fan of specs when it comes to processors, because synthetic benchmarks aren't really telling you the whole story, and I'll throw some up here so that you have a baseline understanding of where this thing is coming from. What I can tell you right now is Microsoft will advertise this thing as $399, and you absolutely can go buy a Surface Go 2 for $399, and you can walk away with a really mediocre to not very great machine. That Pentium Gold processor just doesn't have enough muscle to do anything other than maybe browse the web. And even at that, if you're trying to penny pinch, I think you're going to be better off trying to maybe find a previous generation Surface Pro than to buy that $399 option. While it is a very attractive price point, and I'm sure that there are use cases for people who are purely doing kiosks or just need simple displays, that is going to be a great solution. But if you're planning to use this thing and actually take it on the road and try to get some work done, or even, I wouldn't even play, I'd just try to get some emails answered, you could maybe get away with it, but you're still not going to be happy because the Gold processor has a very low benchmark, but you're also being handcuffed by the eMMC storage of 64 gigabytes. Now, it's not necessarily, might look at it and say 64 gigs, that's fine. Everything's on OneDrive. It's good. You're right. But the problem is that eMMC is a very slow storage technology. It's also very cheap, which is why Microsoft is going that. Realistically, where you need to think about spending is going to be somewhere in the $629 range, because that is going to get you a Core M3, which is, well, not the fastest kid on the block. It is going to be more than enough to do the basics, right? You can actually take that thing on the road and get some real work done. You can type, you can do spreadsheets, you can do all that stuff, you can browse the web. You just got a little bit more oomph behind the display there to get the work done. You're also getting that faster storage, so it's really a 1-2 punch of performance upgrades. Now, one of the challenges with the Surface Go 2 is that if you don't have a Surface Go, $629 is not really what you're going to spend. You're going to spend at least $729 because you're going to need one of these guys right here. You need the type cover. The Surface Go 2 without a type cover is kind of useless. Microsoft has moved away from creating a really vibrant and rich and robust touch interface, and they're pretty much sticking with keyboard and mouse, which is fine. We're not here to talk about the merits of Windows 10 and its touch capabilities, but at the same time, you can't ignore them that you do need a cover or the keyboard for it. You could potentially use a Bluetooth keyboard or something else, but you're going to need a keyboard. Now, the good news is if you have a Go 1, the original Go, your keyboard will work with this device. You don't need to buy a separate keyboard. So there you go. So at least you can kind of, if you're in the family already, you can just upgrade and just go with it. And there you go at the end of the day. Now, do I like the Surface Go 2? Let me put it this way. I love the size. I love this form factor. While it is small, this is so lightweight, about 2 pounds or so, give or take when you're all in. You can just throw it in a bag, and honestly, you kind of forget about it. And so if you have the Core M3 option and you need to just do a little bit longer email or get a little bit more work done, but you don't want to just drag a large device with you, you can just chuck this in a backpack and a purse or something, and on a carry-on bag on an airplane whenever we're allowed to get on airplanes again. and you will be more than happy with what you are able to accomplish. It is absolutely not a desktop replacement. It's absolutely not something I would use every single day to get all of my work done and bet my livelihood on. But it is a nice device. While the keyboard is a little small, given the form factor, I think that's understandable. It is fine. Once you get used to that smaller style, it's okay. You will have some mishits, especially in early days of getting used to that form factor, but it is definitely workable and is also significantly better than, say, trying to type out long things on a phone or even just a tablet without a keyboard. It is a good middle ground between, hey, sitting at your desk and using a phone. It definitely covers that market pretty dang well. The keyboard and trackpad input, very responsive, no real big issues there. The trackpad is relatively the same that we see on almost every other Pro 7, and that from a responsive point and the clickiness, it's all good. And the keyboard snaps in confidently, you don't have any problems. Overall, I quite like the Go 2. The problem I have with it primarily is that it's not $399. You don't get a good experience at $399. You get a good experience at $799. And at $799, you really need to want this specific form factor. If you're looking for a very small ultra portable device, the Go 2 very well could be that fit for you. The problem is if you're looking for a general purpose device that you can take with you everywhere, you can get a decent laptop for about $750. It's not going to be high end, but it is a traditional clamshell laptop from many of the other vendors that you're going to get more performance and just a better product out of if you need that for every day in every scenario. That being said, if you need the scenario that the Go 2 fits in, you will absolutely be happy with it. And I do quite like it. It's small, it's nimble, I can do it, like I can do it on the couch, I can do it on the back of a car, you can do it anywhere. I mean, look how tiny this thing is. So the question is, should you buy a Surface Go 2? Let me put it this way. As long as you fully understand what you are getting with a Surface Go 2, and I strongly urge you not to get that entry-level model. Get something in the middle ground, and if you need an LTE, you can obviously grab that too, but it's going to add some more money to the price point. But if you need something that fits what the Surface Go 2 is designed to do, you will be happy with the product. If you're trying to be a general purpose device, I don't think the Go 2 is for you. Maybe look at a Surface Pro from last generation, or just look at a traditional laptop. That being said, I have enjoyed my time so far with the Surface Go 2. It is a good product from an entry-level perspective, but is not a be-all, end-all solution for everybody who needs a computer on the market. And do not get fooled by that $399 price. You need at least about $750 to get the whole package. That being said, when you do, you get a nice small charger, you get a nice small keyboard, you get a nice small display, and you get a nice small computer.